by far the main hub for biotech investments in these countries. As for Slovakia, Slovakia has always been like the underdeveloped brother of the Czech Republic. After the split, I hope that you guys do not say Czechoslovakia anymore, because that will really kill all the negotiations at the beginning. And we are still facing it, actually, but mostly with guys from overseas. Again, no offense. But as I said, the Slovakia was always been kind of living in the shade of the Czech Republic. But after they split, they introduced a series of really market reforms, and Slovakia till 2008 experienced 15 years of continuous growth. So they, until 2008, it pretty much didn't go down, it didn't go in red numbers, which is a very good example. And actually, even for the next years, it expected to continue in being a very prospective country in terms of economic growth, and as much as open economy, or let's say legislation regarding labor force and market protection and so on. Slovakia is considered really one of the best locations for investments or for business. As I mentioned before, now I'm saying we, as I'm a Czech, we compete with Slovakia in automotive industry, electronics. Most of that, of course, are represented or is represented by foreign companies who came there after 1992. Slovakia doesn't have that industrial tradition from the past. In the times of the common state with Czechs, it was mostly, or let's not say mostly, but let's say more agriculture part of the state. And but after really in the 90s, after the year 2000, actually, the flow of investments into Slovakia got really intense, and now it's one of the biggest performers in the region. Romania, Bulgaria. Well, I had 2 slides initially, so I put the map of Romania on it, but it should be, of course, both of these countries on. Well, Bulgaria and Romania got really good perspective when they joined the European Union, and it was quite obvious that after joining the European Union, a lot of companies, or let's say not a lot of companies, but many companies started kind of pushing and moving production from the Central Europe, from countries like Slovakia and Poland and Czech Republic to Romania, especially labor-intensive production, because Czech Republic is getting quite expensive, for example, or Slovakia. Just to illustrate, until, let's say, from 1998 till 1999, the average salary of Czechs, or let's say the Czech average salary, went up by 400% in terms of US dollars, both thanks to Czech crown appreciation and, of course, the fall of dollar. So that made it very, very expensive to quite expensive to go to with labor-intensive work. So they started moving more to the east. As for Bulgaria, quite similar example. Well, they are both economies where, let's say, low value added production is concentrated. They are both quite strong in basic metal processing, food, agriculture. In terms of Bulgaria, it is also a lot about tourist industry or traveling, and so I got beautiful sites and so on. But the problem is the lack of money. That also applies to agriculture. The farmers in these countries, they cannot really reach for the big grants from the European Union. They are not organized. They don't know how to apply for those funds, which are quite, let's say, wealthy and quite big in the European Union for farmers. So they still suffer greatly from that. Not many people know that Romania, for example, is very good spot for IT investments. It has the biggest concentration of IT experts in Europe. It's considered about 6 in the world, especially in Bucharest and around Timișoara. A lot of good programmers and, let's say, IT engineers and so on. So that's another aspect of Romania that not many people know of. Mostly they think that most people think that it's really low, underdeveloped and so on. Okay. As for challenges to market entry, culture and language diversity, well, these countries have a lot of common in terms of culture and history and so on, but they still are significant differences. In some cases, languages are quite similar, so it's easy for example, to have one partner covering both countries, which is the case of the Czech Republic and Slovakia. So many times, or quite often, companies who are based in the Czech Republic also cover Slovakia. It's pretty much the same language. But you just cross the border to Hungary, and then it's like you are in China, because you don't really understand a word. So also getting important data is, because that, very difficult. So it really requires local approach. So that's why we use local consultants in these countries, local speakers, to work for us to conduct projects. Quality information sources, well, very fragmented, usually in local languages. The more you go to the east, the worse it is, the less information in English or German or French or any other world languages. Reliability is actually, again, the more you go to the east, not that good. Bureaucracy, most of these, or let's say, those countries that are in the European Union, well, they should kind of feel no obstacles for goods flowing in or machinery flowing in. And one could say that importing, let's say, a machine and starts to operate it in Bulgaria, Romania, Czech Republic should be easy. Well, we got cases of companies when they came to us, they were manufacturing some kind of building machinery, and they were saying, okay, we have this thing certified for Switzerland, we have this thing certified for Germany, which is part of the European Union, and they are really strict at health security regulations and so on, and pollution regulations and so on. And sometimes they believe that it should be just a matter of a short time to actually introduce such product in these countries. But then they are facing significant bureaucratical obstacles, and eventually they will have to submit a pile of documents up to the or on the top of the certification from Germany, from let's say Switzerland and so on, just to get it in and actually just to be able to use it. Market size and potential, as I showed you before, is really important to distinguish between just the size of the market in terms of number of inhabitants and actually the purchasing parity, and what segments are developed in these countries. Many times we experienced the situation when actually our client found more success in, let's say, a smaller market in a segment which was not that developed in the country. While I'll give you an example: if there is an automotive company and they hear about the automotive industry doing very, very well in Czech Republic and Slovakia, well, they usually go there because everyone tells them Czech Republic and Slovakia, that's the automotive hub. But when they get there, they find out that most of the companies are already established there. These automotive companies usually require just-in-time deliveries, so they actually pulled all their suppliers next to them, so they are really they have a seat a couple of kilometers from them, and you can't really compete with them. In terms of import. But on the other hand, there could be a machinery which at the beginning doesn't look that good because the local industry is not that big. I had some mentionings about the food industry. So we, for example, had a client which was manufacturing special sauce, fully automatic sauce and sewing machines. And they actually had quite a success in the Czech Republic, although the market there is not that big. And they really start looking at quality. Although there's still a long way to go, especially compared to Western countries, but still the trend is quite clear. I don't know, bio products are getting quite big in Slovakia, Czech Republic, and so on. Currently, they are a little bit overpriced, in my opinion. But people really start looking at the quality. They start taking care of what they are eating, for example, what they wear, and what kind of electronics they buy. Joint venture opportunities, which kind of is connected to the last point, which is regional headquarters. Especially Central Europe is really strategically placed in the heart of Europe, as we say. And it is so strategically placed that even the Indians actually start coming into that area. And we got Indian outsourcing companies setting up businesses in Brno, in the Czech Republic, or in Prague, or in Slovakia. So this is a really good opportunity. And of course, the regional headquarters, again, because of the developed infrastructure, especially in Central Europe, Czech Republic, Slovakia, good connection by international airlines and so on, and good coverage from that, and language skills. This is definitely a good place to go.